Okay. Howdy, everyone. My name's Greg Rowan. I'm from Unleashed. And today on the call, we have Josh Wright, also from Unleashed, and Johnny Calder from Upstock. Um, Today, we want to talk about sales operations in the food and beverage space, the FMCG space in Australia and New Zealand. And we want to go over some of the ways an Unleashed and Upstock combination is helping businesses. And now, before we get started, if you do have questions, please drop them in as we go. And as they occur to you, we'll keep an eye out and answer everything we can towards the end of the session. For now, though, because we're all serious professionals here, I thought we'd start with a meme to explain what we're covering. Because obviously, people in food and bev who use Unleashed are very smart. Those who use Upstock are extremely smart, and people who use both, well, that's next level. And just to prove the point and give us a little more credibility than a meme might, here's a selection of brands that match that right-hand side image and use Unleashed and Upstock together. Now, obviously, there are a lot more brands than this using the combo, but as you can see from this selection, it's a bit of a who's who of food and bev. There's some fantastic brands there, and they're also great advocates for the technology they use. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. Why are these brands using this combination, and what are they getting from it that's helped them become such category leaders? To explain that, I want to frame the conversation in terms of three things: chaos, cost, and credibility. Now, cost is the easy one to talk about, and I won't dwell on it long, but there are a couple of images that, to me, sum it up really well. This, for example, is what order intake looked like at McDonald's just a few years ago. And this obviously is what it looks like today, right? The fast food chain has very recently fully digitized their in-store ordering in every single one of their 14,000 global restaurants. And while there are a lot of different benefits, like, multi-language support, for example, it's not hard to understand their core driver, right? That graph, for example, shows the increase in the minimum wage in New Zealand since just 2012. And obviously, the Australian version looks very similar. Now, look, challenger brands in Aussie and Kiwi food and bev are not global fast food chains. You're probably not looking to sack half your staff and replace them with kiosk screens. But you are likely acutely sensitive to your wage spend and especially that need to grow without increasing headcount and wage spend in direct proportion. To put that another way, could you, for example, double your sales volume tomorrow with the same staff without it leading to our second C, chaos? What does chaos look like? So to me, chaos is orders written on napkins after a customer lunch. Um, Chaos is finding orders in your spam folder. It's doing Control C, Control V from one system to the other at the end of the day when you're tired and making mistakes. And it's playing multiple rounds of phone tag with your customers before you can place their order. Chaos obviously is also first cousins with cost because you're paying for every hour that staff spend fixing mistakes or that they waste on admin. And of course, there's the opportunity cost of time that your highly talented sales teams don't get to spend on growing the business. Now, I'm going to hand over in a moment for a detailed look at how Upstock and Unleashed work together, but I want to cover off that last C in the triangle we started with, which is credibility. Uh, I recently caught up with Thea Alexander, who's the founder of an FMCG accelerator called YF, formerly known as Young Foodies. They're based in the UK, where they specialize in scaling challenger food and bev brands, getting them access to that very large retail network they have over there. And Thea, in particular, is obsessive about what they call retail readiness. For her, retail readiness means giving future retail customers the confidence that you'll sell well on their shelves, and also that you won't let them down. Partly that comes from your product. Obviously, you need a great product in the first place, but it also depends massively on the credibility of your supply chain processes. Buyers, Thea says, need to know you can cope with growth, that your team and your business can keep products on shelves even when sales take off. And the best way to do their view is with base and good at and the growth. So to show you what that looks like firsthand, I'll now hand you over to Johnny.
Okay, you should be able to see that. So my name's Johnny. I'm from the team at Upstock, and I'm going to chat about our piece of this puzzle, how we fit into this kind of equation. So we've got a mix of participants in this call. And so some of you may already be Upstock users, but for those of you who aren't, we are automation software for the food and beverage kind of industry within New Zealand and Australia. So we're made by the creators that originally made Xero, and suppliers use Upstock to receive orders kind of from any direction and process them super efficiently all in one place. And we work with your existing system. So whether that's accounting system, or in this case today, we're going to chat about how we work with Unleashed. So essentially we aim to take all of that painful admin out of the order process, make it as smooth as possible. So what Greg explained is definitely very kind of common scenarios that we see, this kind of chaos in a business, and we're really excited that we can kind of step in and help out with this part. And there's a few kind of key scenarios that we see. Some businesses are still using pen and paper, or maybe a spreadsheet, but you know, slightly old school. And so we can assist them and make things a lot better for them. Then there's businesses that have grown really fast, but don't really have the systems in place. And so they're always playing catch up and making lots of mistakes, and life's really hard. Even though they're growing and things look good, it's hard. And then the one that I guess we kind of want to talk about today a little bit, and the one that is quite exciting, is these businesses that are really proactive. And so they set up systems to be able to handle future growth and get prepared. And then the time-saving aspects that the system like Upstock and Unleashed can provide, it's that opportunity cost. So you're already saving time, which means that then you can go spend that time doing something else, doing something better, like focusing on kind of growing your business. So that's what we do. So Upstock is an ordering platform, a B2B ordering platform, and also a marketplace for wholesale suppliers. We're the fastest growing platform in Australia and New Zealand, which is really cool. And we kind of are connecting lots of suppliers to buyers every day through the marketplace and transacting a whole lot of orders, which is really cool. We get to work with some pretty amazing brands, as you can see on that list. So this is kind of a scenario that we used to see a lot, is an order book like this. And this is the chaos that Greg talked about, right? Lots of room for error. And that kind of leads to confusion, mistakes, miscommunication. And probably the biggest thing is when you make a mistake, the time and effort spent fixing that mistake is massive. So we love to kind of remove all that from your plate, which is cool. The other really cool thing is that because we're a system, it's something that you can implement into your business. So it means that, you know, not one person knows how that order book works. Anyone can kind of jump in and use Upstock and process orders. So real quickly, this is kind of how it works. You get orders from all these different avenues, and they all feed into Upstock in one beautifully consolidated kind of flow, and then through to Unleashed. So just here, you can see we've got app orders. So that's your customers ordering through the app, and they have a beautiful buying experience. I'm going to show you. We can now suck in purchase orders and read them with AI. You got standing orders generating, and then we build integrations to the major supermarkets. And then more specifically, how Upstock works with Unleashed is with a click of a button, we create your sales orders in Unleashed, and then sales order updates come back into Upstock. And then we really treat Unleashed as the source of truth. So your products and customers are all imported from Unleashed. So there's this beautiful kind of sync going on. So nothing can get out of sync. And pricing too, customer specific pricing is synced. So you don't have to manage pricing into systems. So quickly, let's jump into a demo because that's more exciting. So so this is Upstock. So obviously right now I'm in an internet browser, but I could be on an iPhone or an Android. We make native apps for those. And right now I'm going to pretend I'm a cafe and I'm going to quickly place an order to show you what that looks like. So here you can see we're a cafe, a pretend cafe. It's the end of the day. I need to do some ordering. I could come down here and browse for suppliers if I want, but I just need to get ordering. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to grab my coffee. That's my normal one, and I need one of these as well, and some of these. And basically, I just build up a cart here. But actually, I need to order my bagels too. So I'm coming in here. Oh, they've got a new cinnamon bagel, but I'm going to jump in here and grab my regulars. So I've built up this cart here, and it's got two different suppliers in it, but that's fine because I can just go to my checkout and I can place an order across multiple suppliers at once, which is cool. So here's my coffee. Yep, I just want it as soon as possible. These guys are awesome. So I'm going to say thanks. And here's my bagels. Yep. Oh, they require a payment method. That's right. But I've loaded my card. So perfect. So that supplier is going to get that those card details. I'm just going to hit place order. That's not an error. That's a lovely little check because I've ordered 2 lots of bagels on the same day. So just making sure I'm not doubling up. So that was the buyer side. So super quick, super easy. We have some specialty grocer stores who order from 100 suppliers all through Upstock, which is really cool. So now I've switched across and I'm in supplier mode. So this is kind of what we're here for. This is the real efficiency gains, and this is how we work with Unleashed. So you can see here I'm a coffee company, and let's just pretend it's kind of 9 a.m. in the morning. The roast is going. They're roasting beans. I've got orders in. I need to, get these orders ready so that they can be fulfilled for the day. So I've done all my setup. I've got all my products and customers loaded into Upstock. I don't need to worry about that right now. I've just got my orders here. And you can see there's orders with a few different statuses. So I've got a bunch of ordered, some processing, and some shipped. So I'm going to focus on these ordered ones. So I'm going to click on this one here. So this is from one of my independent customers, and they would have ordered using our app. So they had a beautiful digital catalog to browse, just like I showed you before, and they've placed their order. So I can come in here, I can check out all the order lines, but all I need to do, I just need to get this into Unleashed. So one click of a button, I'm going to approve that order. It takes it to a processing status. That spins around, an Unleashed logo pops up in a sales order, and I know that's already in Unleashed. Josh is going to show you that in Unleashed in a second. I'm going to go back out. I don't actually have to go through one order one by one. I can see here, so that was my independent customer. I got a few more. I've got some Woolworths orders here, exactly the same process. They look exactly the same. And I'm actually just going to filter to the ones that are ordered, select them all, hit approve. They're already in Unleashed. That's all done. So really, really time efficient. Obviously no manual keying and no kind of human error in there, which is great. They can only order the products that I've let them order, and they're going to be ordered with those perfect product codes and everything because it all comes from Unleashed. So I've got one more little tab up here called emailed. And you can see there's a nice little new banner there because it is a newer feature for us. And this is really cool. So some customers order through the app, the supermarket ones come through, and then you've got customers that send you a purchase order. And some of these are your biggest, most important customers too, and also the most painful to kind of have to manually key. So what I've done here is these have been emailed to me and I've forwarded them into Upstock. So I can look at it here and it gives me this lovely side-by-side view. I can see where it's come from and I can click on that attachment and I can see this attached purchase order here. So this is where Upstock uses AI, kind of has a look at this purchase order and then makes order suggestions. So all I've got to do is come in here and choose my customer name. And then really quickly, everything has already been fulfilled. So everything highlighted in blue, it's been pulled off here. So I've got reference dates, all the order lines, everything matches perfectly. That's great. I can just hit create order. I get a lovely green tick, which is really good order management compared to like your email inbox where you're like, marking stuff as unread again. So you remember to come back to it. but we've got this lovely green tick. And then if I actually click on that again, it's just created my Upstock order. It's already in processing, already created that order in Unleashed, which is great. And everything's kept tracked down here in a timeline. So it says who's done it, and this purchase order is attached to this order for future reference ongoing. So when we're talking about efficiency and kind of, freeing up time, it's a real combination of all of these aspects. So obviously, no manual keying, all of that's great. It's also just reducing human error. And then it's just giving your customers this beautiful ordering kind of process, making sure they're ordering the right thing. So there's no back and forth with customers, no confusion, and everything just works lovely as it should. So now I'm going to hand across to Josh, and he's going to show you the Unleash side of things and the benefits that Unleash offer.
Perfect. Thanks, Johnny. So yeah, I'll just get my screen up as well, and let's hope we can get this up smoothly. I think I've got it now. Cool. So yeah, as kind of Johnny alluded to, you place your order on Upstock, comes through into Unleashed, and you'll see a bit of a page like this. So this has got all of my orders from, everywhere that's come from in Upstock into Unleashed. Now, Unleashed as a whole is kind of going to be your kind of central hub as such. So you're going to have a connection to Upstock, maybe one to your accounting software, for example, Xero, maybe even to a CRM as well. But Unleashed is going to be a core area for all that kind of inventory knowledge, order management, and also the purchase order side as well. So we'll start with our ordering and processing an order out to one of our customers, and then we're actually going to work our way back through production and purchase, where then we're going to cover off those bits as well. So initially on the sales side, so you'll see I've got a few different orders that have come through from Upstock here. And let's say we hop into the Bro Roast order here. So as you can see, we've actually got the Bro Roast, we've got its details around the delivery address. And if we go down, we've also got the different products that they've ordered within the system. Now down the bottom here, we do actually get a little bit of further information as well, just around things like margin, total weight, total volume for shipping, when we could also then connect into something like Starship It for the shipping side. If we go up again, we also get insights around this customer up the top, so what they've purchased in the last 12 months. So that is quite useful as well if you just look for some insights. But otherwise, to actually process this order, we need to do two things. We need to one, ship the order, and we also need to invoice the order. So how we do that is we come up to the top, then we choose if we want to create a shipment first or an invoice first. Now, of course, everyone has different processes around this, so it's really up to you on which one you prefer to do. But the idea is that once you've prompted both these actions, then the order completes within Unleashed. Now, we can also print off things like pick slips, ship notes, and we can also do barcode scanning for the dispatch side if needed. But otherwise, that would be the kind of generic process to get an order out the door from Unleashed. Now, of course, when that order comes in from Upstock as well, we're also going to reduce that stock on hand and feed that back to Upstock as well. Cool. So let's say I've dispatched this order and it's all done. Now, if we needed to produce products for this order, let's say my dark roast down here, we can actually do that directly from the sales order screen, or we can manually put it in through our production area up on the top left here. So to do that, I'm just going to do it directly from this order, and I'm going to go and I'm going to create an assembly. So Unleashed, you can do manufacturing within the software. We do set up bill of materials on how to make the goods, and then we can go through that process as needed. So for example, I'm going to make 5 quantities, I think 5 units of this dark roast 1 kg, and I'm going to create the assembly for that in the system. Now, when you see I create that assembly in the system, you'll see here that it's calculated the total quantities that I require to make those goods. And it's also tied in batch tracking as well. So within Unleashed, we can do batch and serial tracking within the software. So we can get end-to-end traceability of, where ingredients have gone, where the finish, that if you do need to do a recall in the future, we have that ability. So in this case, I'm going to assign a few of these batches to these goods. And you can actually see I can't actually make 5 units of this product because I've actually got negative stock of some of these items. So that's just flagging to me. I'm still going to run through this production process and just kind of show you until I can't complete it. And then we're going to go on to purchases and how we'd actually buy the stock if, again, we didn't have enough stock to fulfill and make this order. So I've assigned the batches. I would usually create a new batch as well for the finished goods coming out, and we would give an expiry date. I'm going to say it expires in a year, and we're going to do it for the whole 5 quantity. Now we can give new kind of multiple batch numbers out. So if half were in one batch, half were in another, we have the ability to do that as well. Otherwise, when we're walking through this kind of production process, we can also have custom statuses. So you can go up the top right here, click on different statuses and track that order through. Now, one option that people do like, and we've been doing some work on as well, is what we call our assembly Kanban. So assembly Kanban is just a little bit more of a visual way of tracking that progress. And a cool new feature that we actually just released last week was to assign assembly or production people to particular jobs in this area. So what I could actually do is maybe I'm manufacturing, this awaiting stock order for 500 grams of dark roast. I could actually go and assign myself here to that order just for visibility. So then I can actually drag things across and maybe now it's in hold, or maybe I'm actually going to start processing it finally. The idea is that you've got this visibility until you complete the order, where of course it's going to reduce those components from stock and add the finished products into stock available for sale, which again is going to tie into Upstock to then notify that we have more available for sale on the Upstock side. Now let's say if I do hop into one of these orders and like I said before, we don't have enough stock. So we can actually see here, I've got a few items that I don't have enough stock for in this order. So I can actually hop up the top and press create purchase from here. Now, again, like I mentioned before, we can do this just from the create purchase area up the top left. So you can always just jump into a different section of Unleashed from that side. But otherwise, I'm just going to do it directly from this transaction/assembly. So I can see here, I actually want to buy all these goods in. So even though we've got stock on hand to some of them, I'm just going to buy everything in and I'm going to press create purchase. Now, one of these I actually can't because it's labor and it's just a never diminishing product. I can't actually buy. It's just something I use. But otherwise, if I do that again, it's going to generate a purchase order for each supplier in this area. So any of these suppliers that are different will have an individual purchase order assigned to them. But if you have 2 products, for example, I've got 3 from Raw Beans Australia here, they're all going to go into the same purchase order, allowing you to then purchase those 3 goods from that supplier in a very seamless manner. Now, from here, we can then jump in and we can progress our purchase order through. Now, Unleash works on an average landed cost, and that goes for both your finished goods and also your components. So within Unleashed in a purchase order, you'll see that we've initially got our cost of goods for the products, but down the bottom, we also do have cost lines as well. So we can actually allocate things such as shipping, duties, associated to bringing these goods in to make sure that we actually have a true cost for the product. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to type in, let's say DHL, and let's say DHL charged me $150 for freight of these goods. So when I type that in and edit, you'll see it actually allocates to the lines above. Now, one of my lines hasn't got any cost allocated to it, and I can see why, and it's because there's no actual cost really, or price for this product, because we're buying 0.45 grams of it, and a gram, or I think, 1 gram is 30 cents. So there's just no need to associate cost to that small amount. But otherwise, the idea is that we associate that cost and then we get that true cost. Otherwise, if we go down, we can also print off an email across purchase orders as well to our own suppliers to buy these components in. And we can also deal in multi-currency as well, which is an awesome option we do have if you are buying from, let's say, the States or the likes of China for maybe some of your packaging. Otherwise, like any other area within Unleashed, we can kind of progress this through, have custom statuses, and track where it's at all times. So again, we can go through, place it with our supplier. When we mark it as placed, it's going to count as incoming stock, and it's going to be arriving. So it will notify you on some of our forecasting and reorder reports that we might not need to buy these goods because they're already coming in. And then, of course, when we press receipt, the goods come in, we confirm that they've arrived. We allocate batch numbers if they're batch tracked items, something that's expirable, or we do want to get that end-to-end traceability on. And then once we've allocated that, we would then press complete. Now, again, with purchase orders, we can do a Kanban view, again, to kind of track that progress through and have a little bit more of a visual representation of what's happening in Unleashed. Now, to kind of tie that all in, those are your day-to-day transactions. So that's kind of what you're going to be doing day to day. But we do also have other features that really do help for specialized roles. So what I'd mention in that regard would be things like Advanced Inventory Manager. So Unleashed does have a forecasting and demand planning tool, which is really useful for kind of food and bev and looking at maybe what components we need to buy in future based on increased demand of finished goods that we're going to be selling out. So in Advanced Inventory Manager, you firstly get another dashboard, something that looks like this, where you have inventory ROI, order fill rates, things like if your suppliers are delivering on time and overall stock levels. But the really cool thing that we can do is we can use either forecasting or modeling. So forecasting is one I'll show today. And the reason why I'll do that is because then we can actually tie in component products to an expected rise in demand of a finished product that we're going to be selling on Upstock. So let's say in my case, I'm going to sell a 1 kg bag and I want to forecast for it. And let's say it's the 1 kg bag or box. Let's go Frankenstein blend out of HQ warehouse. So we select this product and we can see the historical trend of it. So we can see we had a big spike just before, but nothing much coming up. So maybe I want to fill this forecast and base it off maybe a year-on-year growth that I expect to see for this item. And based on kind of marketing and what my team said, we expect to actually do 50% year-on-year growth for this item. So we could fill that in and it will then rise the demand trends up. So I'm just going to do this manually just because this one doesn't have a very regular demand. Now, the idea is that once you raise these up, we can then plan supply. So then we can look at things, for example, like production duration and how long it takes to actually manufacture these goods, as well as the buffer stock that I might want to keep. So buffer stock, for example, is at a minimum, I only want to have 10 days worth of stock left in my warehouse, but I don't want any more than, for example, 30 days worth of stock in my warehouse because it takes up too much space. So based on these parameters and the demand that I'm expecting to see, then we can base our replenishment and our kind of production planning around that. So that's when then we can hop into things, for example, like production planning. We can tie in components, and that will increase and forecast the demand and ingredients that we might need to buy to make sure that we can still manufacture the amount of these finished goods that we're expecting to sell over, for example, the next 12 or 18 months. So this would be really helpful for example, a production manager or even for a purchasing officer that might be doing your purchase orders to your suppliers as such. Another useful area that we do have is our CRM area. So for example, looking at things, for example, like retention of customers. So looking at maybe lost deals that you might expect to see, or just following up to make sure that they stay a loyal customer. We also do have that under the CRM function. Now, I've covered off kind of a very brief overview of Unleashed today. There are lots of different specific features that might be needed for your business. But yeah, hopefully this demonstration helped a little bit. Over back to you, Greg.
Great. Thanks, Josh. That's awesome. We've got some Q&A happening over here. Johnny and I have been busy trying to answer things as they happen, but let's pick up some questions. Let me open the chat as well. Should we just start with Pauline had a question. Very simple one. Does create shipment, I think this is an Unleashed question, does create shipment add in the shipping costs?
So we can, yeah. So that would be, for example, if we tied in something like Starship It. It does, of course, depend if you're charging for shipping, because we can add those initially when the order flow through from a platform like Upstock. But otherwise, yeah, we can attribute those costs or shipping costs to an order once we do connect to something like Starship It, which has the API integration ability.
And I think just to add to that, I think it's probably quite a core part of the whole kind of margin management and that sort of thing, so that your shipping costs, for example, with an accounting integration will be piped off to a separate account to your inventory purchases, for example. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And actually on the there was a question about Xero. So where are we? Anna says, Upstock integrations are limited to accounting or inventory, so we can connect Xero or Unleashed, but not both. Hopefully you can explain the flow and how the three platforms work together in the back end. And I've taken a stab at this. I'll hand this over to you both, but my answer is probably that A is a very common setup, and B, you would want probably Unleashed to be the kind of the core, and then and Xero to come off one end, and then Upstock and any other sort of order intake things to be happening in parallel there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my understanding from the Unleashed side at least is because we're going to be a central hub. Unleashed is the one that needs to connect to everything. You know, you've got your sales channels like the likes of Upstock connected into Unleashed. But for example, there might be one time where someone still does call up and you might want to add that directly into Unleashed. And it just means that all your different sales channels flow into Unleashed, and then Unleashed is connected to Xero to then make sure that we are pushing all the relevant transactions across, not just the ones from Upstock.
Cool. And I'm just seeing something
I
from
can,
sorry, excuse
sorry,
me. Go.
can I add to that, Greg? Maybe a little sneak preview here, if that's okay. But yeah, as Josh explained, basically we have orders, then we create them in Unleashed, and then Unleashed deals with Xero and does the invoice, which is cool. But also we take credit card payments. And so actually then you've got reconciliation to do at the end of the month, right? Or weekly. And that can actually be a real pain. And so we have this amazing solution when we deal directly with Xero, and it basically automates all reconciliation, which is really cool. And so we're about to embark on a little project to interact with Unleashed and Xero. So we currently don't do it. So Anna, you're 100% right. It's either or at the moment. But that's gonna be really cool because it's gonna basically be like create the sales order, get the invoice number from Unleashed. So then we can look in your Unleashed, in your Xero, sorry, and then we can apply the credit card payment and do the auto reconciliation stuff. So we're gonna start working with multiple systems soon. Yeah.
Cool. That's nice. And so it sounds a little bit like you've got the option of you could go depending, and it's probably depending on scale, right? If you don't need yet to fork out for the all singing, all dancing inventory system, you can literally just go Upstock Xero and have quite a nice functional operation there. And if you want to plug them in, then you put Unleashed Central, and in future you'll be able to control that
Yeah.
yourself.
100%. So what Josh said is, so I guess our integration pattern is we always treat the connected system as the source of truth. So Upstock doesn't create like an invoice and then try to replicate and make another invoice in the other system and try to make everything line up, because to be honest, that never really works that well. So we trigger the other system to create its own order or its own invoice. So in the case of Unleashed, we trigger Unleashed to make a sales order. Unleashed triggers Xero to make the invoice. That's how it works. But there is these instances like credit card payments and reconciliation, for instance, where we want to like also go direct to Xero and perform little actions. Yeah. But yes, there's options, which is great.
Yeah. I'm going to pick up Moshik's piece on this just while we're on the zooming into the Xero, and if you don't have an answer, we can pick this up offline. But Moshik says, do you recommend the integration between Xero and Upstock be terminated or keep it? I presume you mean if you were plugging in Unleashed, but then do you allow the integration settings not to push an invoice to Xero from Unleashed?
So,
So I think,
Johnny, yeah.
yeah, I think this is along the same lines as that last question, right? That in Upstock currently you don't do both. So you wouldn't have an order in Upstock that creates a sales order in Unleashed and then the invoice in Xero. And the reason we don't do that is because those could differ. It could get to Unleashed and you don't have the stock, because you now have the amazing stock management if you're using Unleashed, right? And so you find you don't have that stock or whatever. So that order could differ. And as soon as you duplicate orders in two places, it gets a bit dangerous. So the cool thing about Upstock though is you just disconnect your Xero one and then connect to Unleashed. No change to your customers, which is really cool. So you can completely change your back-end systems and your customers have no idea. And so you just change, you'd hook up Unleashed. There's a little sync process because we want to get all the product data and customer data from Unleashed now, but that's super simple. It's normally 5 to 10 minutes, which is cool. And then you'd be creating the orders in Unleashed, and then Unleashed creates the invoice in Xero.
Yeah.
Nice.
But also just add to that as well. I mean, with the kind of Unleashed Xero integration as well, it's not just sales that we're pushing across. We are also pushing across things like bills to pay for your purchase orders, stock and sales journals. And we do also have mapping, for example, for credit limits. And we actually just released a new feature for confirmation of payment within Unleashed as well. So you can get actually a tick back in Unleashed to say that, hey, an invoice is being paid on the Xero side. So it's not just as basic as sales from the Unleashed side. There are other components and why we treat Unleashed as the master as well, for that kind of purchasing side as well, especially.
Cool. All right, next one. Within Upstock, can you have set delivery days for each customer as opposed to the customer selecting the day? Interesting.
Yep, 100%. So you can there's different ways of kind of doing this, but yeah, you basically have delivery days and then cutoff times, and you can make various groups of those. So if you've got local customers and they have different rules, then you make a group for them, and then you assign customers to them. So when they go to order, they'll only be able to order on their assigned kind of days before the cutoff time, for instance.
Yeah.
So yes, that's really common because often you can courier out goods every day, but maybe you hand deliver in a van and you do this region this day and that region that day, so you can control all of that. So that really helps to cut down on all that back and forth with customers. Can you deliver today? No, remember your delivery day is that day, and all of that, which as you scale gets too hard, right?
Yeah, that's a very cool feature. We've got a Moshik again. I think this is an Unleashed question. How do you deal with multiple currencies? And Aaron says, perfect. Thank you, Johnny. Great. Multiple currencies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So within Unleashed, we set a default buy and sell rate within the software. So initially what we would do is we'd say, cool, you'd have your base currency and then your exchange rate to each different currency that you deal with, whether that be USD or yen or anything else. What then ends up happening is we have that as kind of the set way of doing it within Unleashed for a start, at least, because people do sometimes have agreed exchange rates with their suppliers or even with their customers sometimes that we do need to deal with. But we do also have an Unleashed add-on through Chrome that one of our partners has made, which is called Unleashed Extension from memory. And they do live exchange rates as well. So if you did need live exchange rates, you can do that through that little Chrome add-on as well. But otherwise, the core way that we do it is through default buy and sell rates, and then adjusting manually if that differs.
Oh, and is there an Upstock angle on that as well?
Yeah, I can see that just came through. Yeah, so we currently trade in New Zealand and Australia, and we kind of keep them separate. And so you don't, from your New Zealand company, you don't sell to customers in Australia. So we set up another company for you, and it's really easy to flick between two companies, and you can have them both connected to the same Unleashed account. So you can have all your New Zealand customers in one account and all your Australian ones in the other one. And obviously they'll have the correct tax rates and currency. They'll see the same currency, etc. And have that experience of kind of buying in their local market. But yeah, they can all channel through to the same Unleashed account.
Nice. There's so many good detailed questions here. I really want to try. We've got about 20 minutes left in the set time. I think we can go over. Oh my God, it's hailing outside. If we go over, I think we'll just keep going and record. So, feel free to drop off. We'll send the recording out to everybody. And we might just, if there's something that really needs to have a one-on-one call, you can connect with Johnny and Josh as well. We'll send out links and make sure that everybody has a chance. But let's get through it. We've got Hugh says, this is perhaps a little outside the scope of this call, but could you please explain how our e-commerce platforms, Shopify for us, integrate with Unleashed? Can we have Shopify and Upstock integrated so our e-com and wholesale orders are fulfilled from a common inventory? Very simple question. It's super easy. And to give you, and this is slightly off tangent, but for the purposes of this demo, Johnny and Josh connected their respective demo accounts just so we'd have that nice flow through of the products going in. And it was I think how long did it take you to, like 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30
Yeah,
seconds?
there's actually, we could tick off another question there. There's another question. How long would it take to get set up?
Yeah,
Honestly, we can set someone up in half an hour kind of thing. It's super, super fast.
yeah.
So setup process is, because we pull all your info from Unleashed, right? You've already got it in Unleashed. It's all perfect. So we just pull it through, and then there's just a little bit of configuration, but it's really nice and simple. And then we break down some tasks that you don't have to do straight away, so you can just do those over time.
And
Yeah.
again, just putting the extension on the Shopify version. Unleash maintains its own sort of approved integration with Shopify, so it's really sophisticated. And so you can go. I think if you have an established Shopify store and you would just want to go, oh, I've got imagery and descriptions and product codes in here, I'll just go suck all that into Unleashed and make that the master. And is
That's
that
correct.
shaking your head, Josh,
Yeah,
or no?
yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, as long as you've got SKUs attached to your products within Shopify, we can pull those in.
yeah,
And yeah, the really cool thing is, for example, we've got a centralized area for all those. So that sales order area that I showed, that's where all of your orders come into. They do actually come with a little symbol. It would be Upstock has a little API symbol. Shopify actually has a Shopify icon showing. So you can differentiate between the orders. And the really cool thing is, for example, if you dispatch an Upstock order, it will then go and tell Upstock. If you dispatch a Shopify order, it goes and tells Shopify. And on the Shopify side, it does also send through things like, for example, fulfillment information around tracking numbers and so forth to your customers on the B2C side. So yeah, definitely can connect to multiple softwares for sales channels.
cool.
And I'll just quickly add to that. So there's another question about WooCommerce. So typically the kind of pattern is that you have wholesale orders coming through one channel, and I talked about consolidating all those orders, and those are consolidating all your wholesale orders, and then you have your e-commerce, your Shopify or your WooCommerce over here, and they run in parallel, and then they all meet in Unleashed, like Josh said, in the one order flow. So that's kind of the architecture of how it happens. They run in parallel.
But we have a WooCommerce integration as well. So yeah, no issues
Yeah.
around that. So WooCommerce, Shopify, Amazon are kind of the main three. But there are also other, e-commerce platforms we do connect to, which yeah, we can do.
Cool. Pauline's asked a question about Lightspeed, but I'm going to take a liberty. Pauline, will you connect with, I think, Josh afterwards, if that because you've got some very specific questions, and I think that would be really good. Do we have a Lightspeed integration, Josh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So got that.
Love it. All right, so let's go up to great. Yep, Pauline's keen. Brendan, oh, here's a crunchy question. Oh, it's a little bit uncomfortable. We are already utilizing Unleashed B2B portal with 80% customers active on the portal. What are the biggest advantages of Upstock versus portal? Now, this is an interesting one. So, just to summarize for everybody, Unleashed has a similar system to Upstock's order management, sort of private order management system. And I am not, I think there's a lot of advantages to Upstock that, for example, B2B doesn't have, and a little bit of vice versa. And I am aware that some customers use them in parallel to use the benefits of both systems. But Johnny or Josh, without coming to blows about.
Obviously we're way better. No, just joking. No, you're right. They're just a little bit different. So you've got your Unleashed B2B portal, which you can kind of customize and is yours, and that's cool. And obviously it's made by Unleashed. It works really well with Unleashed. Upstock is just slightly different. That we are kind of part of we're a platform, right? So we have 50,000 buyers on us already. So it's funny. We often kind of talk about it like, if you created a product, this beautiful product, and you need to get it in front of customers, you could go down and sign a lease on a shop and kind of build your own shop. And it'd be a beautiful customer experience. Everything's awesome, right? Or you could kind of get it on the shelf in the supermarkets where the customers already are as well. So it's just slightly different. Like you join the platform where your customers kind of already are, and it's a bit hustle bustle, or you have this kind of shop where it's yours. You probably get a bit more control around how it looks and feels. And so it's just different. And we have lots of customers that use both. So sometimes it's hard to get all your customers on one platform. Our pricing model completely scales with how many orders you put through it. So it's quite easy just to add Upstock to your existing methods because you're just paying for what you use. So yeah, really good options for both.
Yeah. I'd also just add to that as well. I mean, yeah, I'd say our Unleashed B2B portal is for that kind of smaller B2B customer. You're not going to see, for example, Woolworths hopping in your own B2B Unleashed portal, unfortunately, and placing orders through there. They want to do it their way. So, having that option around things like Upstock just allows you to go for that bigger market as well.
Yeah. What would you say would be what's something that the Unleashed B2B would have that is specific to it that, that Upstock doesn't? Not to.
Yeah. To be honest, not much. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I know one really nice thing it does have, which is the payment flows through, and you can see the payment through the order. But we're getting around that by building our little link to Xero. So it's going to be kind of similar, but
Yeah.
honestly, the B2B is a really nice platform. We love Unleashed. It was the first integration we built after Xero. We've had it for 5-6 years, and it's great. So yeah, there's definitely a place for both. Yeah, for sure.
I would also add just with the Unleashed B2B portal as well, we do have the functionality to add as a kind of pretend that we're a customer and place an order on behalf of a customer. So it does also kind of give you the opportunity to pretend or kind of have a sales rep on it going through to a store and placing an order on behalf. We do have that functionality as more of a sales app as well through the B2B portal.
Nice. Michael says we use Beer 30 brewing platform in our brewery that we like and that has similar aspects to Unleashed, but will not talk with Upstock, but will link to Xero. Is there a separate module within Unleashed that we can use just for inventory tracking, or is it the full manufacturing platform? Yes and yes. I think you can absolutely, you can absolutely use just the inventory side of things. And there's a full manufacturing module, but and I will say, Michael, that a large number of brewers do use Unleashed for their brewing. I do understand that it's obviously like you're not going to set your vat temperatures in Unleashed and that sort of thing. So if you've got a specific module and that's working for you, great. But yeah, I think integrating them with a custom EDI would be the way to go if you wanted that inventory tracking.
Yeah,
What do
that's
you
what
think,
I'd
Josh?
recommend from my side. I think, yeah, if you wanted a seamless flow, you'd need to connect Brew 30 and Unleashed together through the API. But yeah, we do have customers that do use an individual system for their production side and still use Unleashed for your kind of inventory management. Yeah, so definitely an option. Usually what a customer like that will do though is they will have still a basic bill of materials that they use in Unleashed to, of course, reduce the components, add the finished goods in, and make sure that we're still got an accurate cost of goods. But yeah, your production team really just sits in Brew 30, does all the technical stuff in there, and then at the end of it just jumps into Unleashed and presses complete if there's not an integration, just to make sure that both systems are aligned.
Cool. Hopefully it's a good answer. Michael, give us a thumbs up if you're happy with that. What have we got? Someone else. We have orders come directly through our website via Shopify and purchase orders and emails. Can these all work together? I think absolutely. I think
We've
we might probably answered something similar in terms of the way that multiple sources will come in and kind of, and I think there's a big benefit of that. Is that actioning against that central inventory record, the big problem you're solving is selling the same goods twice, right? You don't want to be like, I'll accept that sale, I'll sell it, ship it off, and then you come into some completely other thing and your inventory records don't you're not able to check against them, and so you sell it but you don't actually have the stock because you sold it already, or you don't you look at your stock and you think you've got stock but it's been reserved for production or it's been sold but it's sitting in your warehouse. Having that system that just goes, no, no, you can't have that, that's already earmarked for this sale, or etc etc, it is part of the way that works. So hopefully that's answered that question. Do we answer it? There was a question about SKUs. Ah, Sahil, how would it work when the product SKU is different to the one from the supplier? Can it be mapped? Another question, and I think that this presumably is an Upstock question. Another question, can you have different price tiers allocated per customer?
Yeah, I can bundle. There's a couple other questions in here too that I can kind of bundle together. I think the product SKU one was when I processed the purchase order. And often purchase orders come with their own codes that they've made up that don't match your codes. So yes, they can be mapped. First of all, we look for a code that matches one of your codes, and then we find whatever else's code's there. You can do a little search on it so it still shows all the order lines, so you never miss an order line. You do a little search, do the right match, and then it's kind of clever and it remembers that match for the next time that customer orders. So if you just kind of, your first order takes a little bit more time to go through and search it, and then it's kind of automated from then on. So that's really cool. Then in terms of the price tiers, and there was also a question about which products appear in Upstock and which ones don't. So I didn't go into all the kind of setup stuff, just trying to keep it brief. But basically, you go through and you choose which products from Unleashed you want to bring into Upstock. So there's like a lovely little search kind of thing. So you might have heaps of old products you don't want in there, or potentially multiple kind of business units in Unleashed, and you only want to bring some through. So you just choose which ones you want to bring through. And then we have a concept of price lists in Upstock, which is like price tiers. And you build these. And so actually with Unleashed, we have two options. We have this beautiful kind of auto syncing one where it looks to see what that customer pays for that product in Unleashed. So what tier they're on, if there's any custom pricing, and then it automatically builds the price list for that customer in Upstock, which is so great because you don't want to have to manage this in two systems ideally. But if you would prefer to manually manage that, that's also an option. And on those price lists, you're controlling which prices that customer sees and orders with, and also which products they have access to. So you hide and show products on that list. So yeah, you can have different price tiers allocated per customer, and you can choose which products appear. So maybe bulk products are not available to all your customers, for instance.
I was really hoping you're saying that's something we can't do because it's something that the B2B commerce store and Unleashed does do with the price tiers and, you know, product lists and all that sort of thing. Damn
Uh,
it.
I love this healthy rivalry. Good, good. Yeah.
All right. So, let's go. Same question as Shopify. Will it talk with Squarespace? Do we have Square? I think we have a Square integration.
Not native, but
No.
third party. So yeah, because we have an open API, lots of partners. I can actually see one in our webinar today. Build integrations to other systems. So yeah, plenty of integrations like Squarespace out there.
Nice. Here's a really good question from Anna. Anna says, so just imagining we're a small, not complex business. We already have Upstock and Xero. So other than moving the source of truth to Unleashed, the main feature we would gain within the ecosystem would be inventory/stock management and stock on hand evaluation, etc. Is there anything that's missing from there? Is that
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, what ends up happening is that Xero really goes back to its basics around being a financial system. And Unleashed does take over some roles from Xero just by making that transition to Unleashed. So things, for example, like being the source of truths for customers, suppliers, tax rates, those types of things as well. But yeah, really the idea is that we just kind of bring everything into the middle, and then Xero does its accounting stuff, Upstock does the ordering stuff, and then we just sit in the middle.
yeah. So, and I guess what
Yeah, I
if you
could.
were to characterize the core benefits of Unleashed, if you were to take it on, I think you'd be looking at cash flow, the ability to more accurately, excuse me, optimize your stock levels against your rates of demand, so you're not overspending. And the other big one, of course, is the flip side of that is preventing stockouts, which is a bit of a crisis. Um, Specific to the kind of industry, batch tracking would be an expiry management because every time you give something a batch number and you assign, if you say a product is always batch tracked, then when it arrives, you buy it, it arrives at the warehouse, the system forces you to enter a batch number and I think an expiry date. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Which then means
Yeah,
that every time you have these options where if someone buys a bunch of stuff from you, you just get to go, well, assign orders first. So you've got a first in, first out sort of system. Um, what would
I
the
could
other?
just
Go on.
Yeah, I could just add to that really quickly because we have so many people who use Xero and need to upgrade for certain reasons, and it's mainly batch tracking, or keeping track of inventory. But then also from my use of Unleashed, Unleashed is like Xero is great, but it does just make an invoice. It's just that it's pretty simple software. And then Upstock adds a lot to it because it gives you order management on top. But yeah, the ability to have different pricing for all your different customers, which you can obviously use Upstock for as well, but Unleashed holds all of that info really well. Even little things like there's so many little things. It's really hard. Josh could be here for hours, but having customers in Unleashed that have multiple delivery addresses. So for instance, having Woolworths as a single customer, but listing all the stores as multiple delivery addresses is so good because in Unleashed, they're all separate contacts. And then you have to provide a statement and you've got to do all this work. Same with food stuff. So there's just all these kind of little things. It's just bigger, fully functioned kind of software. And then you've got all, yeah, like you say, all the forecasting and production control and stock management as well.
Mm. We've got, I think we're almost here with the questions. This one, I think we might have answered it. I'll just double check. You mentioned earlier, I'm from Brendan Jones. You mentioned earlier having separate Upstock platform for New Zealand and Australia connected to one Unleashed for inventory. Would this mean we could fulfill orders to New Zealand from Australia? That's it.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. We
That's the
have
straightforward
suppliers
answer,
who,
right? Yeah.
yeah, just within Upstock, we just keep them separate because they're basically two markets. So you just have an Upstock account for each market. But yeah, for sure. I mean, once you get the order and it's unleashed and you fulfill it, you can slap whatever address on it you want and send it wherever you want. Yeah.
And that's probably speaking to some of those core benefits, reasons that people tend to get a system like Unleashed. That multi-location thing is another one. Like if you've got one warehouse, that's all well and good. But when you start having two warehouses, three warehouses, and then you go, well, we're going in Australia, but we're not going to own a warehouse. We're going to get a 3PL or vice versa. We have a lot of, we're in the UK and Europe and all that sort of thing. People have entities all over the show, and it just means you can go, right, I'm going to fulfill that from this warehouse. Half of this order I'll fulfill from Australia, half I'll fulfill from New Zealand, half I'll put on back order and I'll order from my suppliers here, et cetera, et cetera. All that routing and management just gets managed for you.
Yeah. To be honest, I'd probably say that most customers, when they sign on to Unleashed, only use about 70% of the platform, and it's kind of just more the peace of mind that there are those abilities in there for when they do grow. Because of course, yeah, like I mentioned, CRM, Advanced Inventory Manager for the forecasting side. We've also got Access Evo, which is like an AI kind of chatbot for kind of quick questions that you want to find out within the software. So it's just having those kind of little bits for growth when you need them.
Cool. And I think we've got only one more question here, and it's for Johnny. He says, happy for my question to be taken offline if it's not relevant, but we would like to implement a route optimization system for deliveries. Who does Upstock work with us with, or is this handled within your system? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, and this is actually quite interesting because this is where we do have some simple solutions here. But you may find that you prefer to work with Unleashed on this. So this is like Josh mentioned they have a Starshipper integration. We also have one. But if you're using Unleashed, it might make more sense for that to work from Unleashed because it will capture all of your order, all of volume, just in case some don't come through Upstock, for instance. But yeah, Aaron, if we have simple kind of delivery run reports that you just print off, and I know that's not route optimization like you're talking about, but you can also really easily make a selection of orders. So say you set up a fulfillment group for your Northeast run for this day, quickly filter by that, give you all those orders for the day, select them all, export to a CSV, and that can go direct into another system. There's a few other systems that we've tested with, and that it's really great and fast. We also have some other universal kind of ways of providing data to another system. We have outgoing webhooks, so you can kind of build your own little system. But also these kind of courier and route type software integrations is something we'd like to add more of in the future. But yeah, if you're using Unleashed, you might want to look at their options as well.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely have some go-tos from our side for people that are using Unleashed. There's one called DSD Assist, which is kind of our go-to. What ends up happening with a platform like theirs is you get all your orders in. We then send all the orders across their platform. They then print off picking lists, what you need to put in first to the van, because of course it's coming out last. Also, yeah, planning trips around kind of what would be best based on Google Maps and where the locations are. And they also do things like proof delivery and so forth as well. So again, that kind of growth mindset with something like Unleashed, you've got those abilities to again connect further systems on as well.
Cool. What was that called? DS, was that DSD Assist?
Yeah, DSD. It's the New Zealand accent. It's tough, but yeah, DSD assist.
Cool. And is Starship, did you mention Starship? It has that sort of functionality as well? Starship it?
They're a little bit more connected to the courier side, so they're a little bit more, yeah, picking for a courier to then take it away.
Cool. Hey, I think we're going to wrap this up, but I personally have found this fantastically interesting. Great to have some big brains to pick on the crunchy questions here. Is there anything else we need to cover off, or any final questions?
Well, yeah, just really quickly. Every business is different, and so we've kind of offered a whole bunch of broad info here. And some of these questions are, a bit more specific, but just our kind of sales process is you reach out, we'll have a hands-on little demo for you, learn about your business and figure out where Upstock kind of fits into that. And so yeah, just a nice kind of friendly conversation. So I'm pretty sure there's links going out with this to kind of send you through to our website. And so yeah, that would kind of be the process from there. You chat to one of our friendly salespeople and they can kind of specifically answer all your questions.
Perfect. What, great. And we've got request there for a catch up. That's great. Well, quickly, does Upstock have open public APIs?
Not currently. So we've got these outgoing webhooks which can do most stuff outgoing. And we're working on how we're going to open up some APIs in the near future, which is cool. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll end this now. A couple of hours later, I'll get a nice recording from Zoom, send that to the lovely Sam, who's going to format it into a nice video. We've got everyone's email addresses. I'll send that through to everyone. There'll be a link in there to catch up with Johnny or Josh. Feel free to do that and just have a yarn. No one here is going to be pushy. If you just have questions or you want recommendations for partners that are good in different spaces, anything like that, feel free to just hit us up, and or you just want to email questions as well, and we'll do our best to pick up any of those things. But I've really appreciated it. Thanks for so many great questions. Thank you so much, John and Josh. Appreciate your time.
Good.
And
thank you, Greg.
Enjoy your weekends.
Cool. See you, everyone. Bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.